Could Jesus' disciples have stolen his body from the tomb? It's a theory some people use to explain away the resurrection. And surprisingly, it's not a new idea. In fact, the first people to suggest this were Jesus' own enemies right after it happened. The Gospel of Matthew tells us they paid the guards to spread this very story. But when you really look at the details, this theory just doesn't hold up. Let's break it down. First, think about the scene at the tomb. John's Gospel mentions that the grave clothes, the linen wrappings, were left behind, neatly folded. If the disciples were staging a theft, would they have taken the time to unwrap the body and fold the cloths? It sounds more like a hurried grab-and-go situation, not a careful, tidy exit. Why not just take the body, wrappings and all? Second, the security was incredibly tight. Jesus' enemies were worried someone might try to steal the body. They went to Pilate, the Roman governor, and got his permission to seal the tomb and post a detachment of Roman guards. These weren't just some local temple police. These were professional soldiers. Their job was to guard that tomb with their lives. If they fell asleep on duty, the punishment was often death. So, the idea that a group of scared, scattered disciples could sneak past a trained Roman guard, roll away a massive stone, and steal a body without anyone noticing is a huge stretch. If they were asleep, how could they know it was the disciples? And if they were awake, they would have stopped them. Third, and perhaps most importantly, look at the disciples themselves. Right after Jesus' crucifixion, they were not a band of brave conspirators. They were terrified. They were hiding behind locked doors, fearing for their own lives. When the women first came and told them the tomb was empty, what was their reaction? They didn't believe it. Mark, Luke, and John all record their initial disbelief and confusion. Thomas famously said he wouldn't believe it until he could see and touch the wounds for himself. Does this sound like a group of people who had just pulled off the most daring heist in history? Their transformation is the key. These fearful men who abandoned Jesus suddenly became bold preachers, willing to face persecution, imprisonment, and even execution. What caused this radical change? It was their genuine belief that they had seen the risen Christ. This belief wasn't just a casual opinion. It was the bedrock of their newfound courage. As the Apostle Peter wrote, it was the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead that gave them a living hope. Would these men have willingly endured torture and death for something they knew was a lie? People might die for what they believe to be true, but it's hard to imagine someone dying for a known fabrication, a story they themselves invented. Their unwavering commitment, even to the point of martyrdom, speaks volumes about the sincerity of their belief. As the historian Philip Schaff pointed out, the whole stolen body theory is full of holes. It requires us to believe that disciplined Roman soldiers failed at their one job, that fearful disciples suddenly became master criminals, and that these same disciples then decided to dedicate their lives to spreading a lie they were willing to die for. The simpler, more consistent explanation is the one the angel gave at the tomb. He is not here, for he is risen, as he said. The empty tomb wasn't the result of a conspiracy. It was the beginning of a world-changing reality. The evidence points not to a stolen body, but to a resurrected Savior. Thanks for watching. If this video gave you something to think about, please like and subscribe for more content exploring questions of faith and history. See you in the next one.